This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady News Source.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of Mock Show 570.
We have some quick updates on news in our area, starting with tonight's Georgia basketball game versus the #1 team in the nation. The Georgia basketball team will look to do something it has never done before on a Tuesday night, beat a #1 ranked team. To beat the 28-0 Kentucky Wildcats, Georgia will have to play better than their first game against the Wildcats, which ended in a 69-58 loss. Head coach Mark Fox said Georgia will need to play well in all areas to pick up the program's first ever win against a #1 team.
Take a complete effort to beat Kentucky. We can't just do one thing well. We can't just think, hey, we're going to go guard Kentucky, shut them down, and think we're going to win, because their defense is great at the other end. We're going to have to play exceptionally well on both ends to win.
If Georgia were to defeat the Wildcats tonight, it could come at a cost to the head coach.
If Georgia were to defeat the Wildcats tonight, it could come at a cost to the university. Fans lined up early today to get tickets and hoped that if they could celebrate with their team. But the Southeastern Conference issued schools $50,000 fines if fans storm the court. Georgia head coach Mark Fox is concerned about fans rushing the court, but for another reason: player safety.
It's dangerous for everybody involved, the visiting team, the officials, our team, the fans themselves. The league has a rule against it, and it's a good rule because it's you can have fun and stay in your seat, and hopefully our people will do that.
Georgia did beat Kentucky in 2013, but fans did not rush the court following the win.
Georgia's only female death row inmate's execution has been postponed for the second time in 1 week. Members of the Georgia Alternatives for the Death Penalty held a vigil planned for the execution in front of the arch. Member Robbie Fuller said that the state execution forces consent into its citizens. Correction officials planned to inject the phenobarbital drug, but tests came back and the drug appeared to be cloudy. Officials decided to halt the execution out of abundance of caution.
Well, we ourselves are not pushing the plunger that is injecting the chemicals into her body tonight. But because we are citizens of this state, the state is doing this in our names, and as long as we have the death penalty, they're doing it with our consent. That makes us killers in the exact same way that Kelly Gissendamer was.
The new execution date has yet to be announced.
Some students say what was supposed to be an open dialogue on sexual consent was more like a monologue, and they were disappointed. Students lined up at the Miller Learning Center to discuss UGA's sexual consent policy last night. The Equal Opportunity Office held the meeting to clarify the rules, but several students are concerned their questions were not fully addressed. Students thought the event was a step in the right direction, but wanted more discussion.
It was supposed to be more of an open dialogue, and that the people who were running it didn't really take the time to delve into the questions that were being asked or address the myths that got brought up.
We tried to reach the Equal Opportunity Office for a response, but were unsuccessful. They did tell the group last night that the discussion was cut short because of time. Information on UGA's sexual consent policy can be found on the school's Equal Opportunity Office website.
Coming up, we have more news on last night's meeting proposal for the relocation of an Athens-Clarke County Fire Department.
And later, why UGA head of neurology does not support House Bill 1 legalizing cannabis oil in Georgia.
Get out to the forest.
Let the kids connect to their roots. It's gonna be so much fun. Yeah!
Woo-hoo! Hey guys, wait up!
And discover the wonders of nature with your family.
These trees are the key to our way of life.
Fresh air.
What a glorious morning!
Clean water.
Woohoo! This is great!
An endless forest adventure.
Let's rock this jungle! Yo, this is untapped territory.
How amazing!
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
How you doing? My name's Steve. My family's lived in this neighborhood for years. Recently, things got so tight, we had to go to our local food bank for help. I lost a lot of sleep worrying about what the neighbors might think. That is until I saw them there, too. How'd I do, Steve?
A little stiff. You could have done a little better.
What? Come on. You know, I have an Academy Award.
Yeah, but not for playing me.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank. All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's gonna do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
It is not often that citizens are quiet on subject matters, such as how their taxes are spent by the government. That is why Monday night's Special Purposes Local Option Sales Tax meeting left some officials puzzled after a small turnout from Athens-Clarke County residents. Reporter Sam Lack attended the meeting to find out more about the current county's plans.
Thanks, Kara. Well, last night I attended the SPLOST meeting at the Doherty Street Government Building, where a public meeting was held on criteria to help identify a new location for Fire Station Number 2 in Athens-Clarke County. Despite the large impact of this project, there was a little turnout from affected citizens. The SPLOST meeting held last night downtown didn't have the attendance city officials would have liked.
We haven't even really heard anything back yet. We expect that once we have evaluated these criteria and we're going to submit these to the mayor and commission for approval, at that point then we'll have another meeting where we can bring community members in to start voicing more specific concerns as it relates to site selection and location.
There are currently 9 fire stations within Athens-Clarke County, though the government officials hope to have plans finalized for the relocation of Fire Station Number 2 by the end of this year. Recently, Athens-Clarke County and Oconee County signed an automatic aid agreement to help with their coverage. This would help emergency responders get on site faster.
Some of the more important thoughts are we have to have the right location because that has an impact on our responses. The current layout of our stations is not by accident, and so when you relocate a fire station, you got to make sure you don't create a coverage gap by moving it too far from its response zone, but also, in particular with Station 2, we're trying to move out towards the west border of the county somewhat because we've got some citizens that are further than 5 miles from that station that we need to move out there to give them better coverage.
The first and foremost thing is safety. That's what we're about in this community. It's the safety of our citizens, and whatever we can do to make things easier for them in terms of responding to fires in a timely manner, we want to make sure that we do that.
Until the station is relocated, they will continue to serve the community as best they can. From Mockshow 570, I'm Sam Lack. The committee will evaluate the criteria and submit it to the Mayor's Commission for approval. They will have another meeting later in the year where they will bring in community members to voice concerns regarding site selection and location.
Officials hope to have details of the project finalized by the end of this year. Now with the relocation of Fire Department Number 2, there could be a positive effect on citizens' insurance within that coverage area, according to District 2 Commissioner Harry Sims.
Because they moved from probably a 9 in that area to a 2, so that gives them a lot of savings on insurance premiums.
The anticipated budget for this project was laid out by the SPLOST referendum that passed in 2011. An original budget of $5,208,000 was proposed, along with an estimated $6,000 annual operating impact. This money will be put towards the construction of a new building and the replacement or upgrade of firefighters' equipment. Next on Mockshow 570, find out how over $15,000 was raised by an awareness walk, and later, learn how one girl battles with her eating disorder.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
A single ember from a wildfire can travel over a mile. That ember can ignite and destroy your home or community. You can't control where that ember will land. Only what happens before it does. Visit fireadapted.org to learn how you can help protect your community from wildfires.
An organization that combats eating disorders raised 3 times more than their goal at a walk this weekend. The group, called NEDA, held a walk this Saturday at the UGA Health Center to raise awareness about the dangers surrounding eating disorders. The walk's fundraising goal was $5,000, but the group was able to raise $15,000 for the cause. Walk coordinator Lauren Cobb said she's amazed at the turnout.
It's been an incredible growth, and I'm really pleased to see that the word has gotten out about this event, and the people are really banding together and coming. So.
Attendance to NEDA Walk also tripled this year. More than 200 people came out Saturday, with only 60 attending in 2014. A recent study has shown that people are 8 times more likely to die from an eating disorder than from breast cancer. Reporter Mary Grace Shaw says this fact is all too real for some people in Northeast Georgia.
I discovered just how real it was when I spoke with one UGA student who let an eating disorder become so severe that she found it difficult to stand up in the mornings, and she is not alone.
Dancing around some of her best friends, you would not think Chelsea Cheney is struggling from an eating disorder. She is one of hundreds who came out to the National Eating Disorders Association annual walk in Athens this Saturday.
I think a lot of it had to do with my lack of control I felt with my life, and I changed my major, and I've always known what I eventually wanted to do with like going to law school and helping people with disabilities, but I never like had the control of what I wanted to do now. So I found that controlling like what I eat, when I eat, and how little I eat was like the thing I could control, while everything else I just felt like was just moving so fast and I like wasn't ready for it.
Some of Chelsea's friends came out to the walk with her to show their support. She said she finds most of her support through her friends, family, and counseling.
You can't do it on your own. I think I had that wrong from the beginning, like years ago with the body image. That like, oh, one day I'll get over this, it's just a fad, and it's not.
Along with various performers, the event featured speakers who had suffered from various eating disorders. They offered insight on what having an eating disorder is like and how they overcame the disease.
To come here and, you know, just to get that venting or that comforting feeling to know that they can do it, everything will be okay, and that there is help for them.
While some have overcome their eating disorders, it is still an ongoing battle for millions of people like Chelsea.
I mean, it's a process, and it's kind of scary, it's kind of beautiful, and it's a bunch of emotions, but it's just, you gotta keep going on, even if you mess up one day. Just go on to the next day. Every day is a new day.
For some people, there is not a new day. Organizers of the NEDA Walk hope that through their efforts, more people will have a new day.
Well, it definitely looks like they're raising awareness with such a big turnout this year. Coming up, find out what one county is doing to improve local health care for its residents.
It's terrifying, it's disgusting, and it must be stopped. Throughout downtown Athens, mindless zombies are throwing recyclable items in the trash. No! But you can be a hero.
Groovy.
Use the downtown recycling bins for all your recyclable items. Cans, bottles, paper, and more can all be recycled. So use the downtown bins and don't be a mindless zombie. To save this world, we must recycle more.
Hart, what's going on?
I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough.
You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just, please, don't leave. Okay, but remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
I ride the bus.
I ride the bus.
Nosotros usamos el autobús.
Athens Transit would like to remind you that the bus is for everyone. Riding the bus is safe, affordable, and convenient. For work, for shopping, or anything else, the bus can take you there. And when you need a little extra help, the bus is ready to meet your needs. So remember, the bus is for everyone.
I ride the bus.
For routes and complete information about the bus, visit athensclarkcounty.com/transit.
County residents are looking forward to the possibility of better health care closer to home. A possible hospital acquisition could bring changes to the community as a whole. Reporter Janae James spoke to a local resident about those changes. Janae, what did she say?
Well, Shannon, the basic message is that the changes could save the residents time and money by keeping their health care local. Apparently, some residents would rather drive out of town for health care than to visit the health care minutes from their homes.
Just with the name change, you know, people that have had a bad experience will now come. So, I mean, people have said, if I get hurt, take me to Athens, which is 45 minutes away, which doesn't make sense.
The changes to Ty Cobb come from St. Mary's Hospital in Athens signing a letter of intent to acquire the Regional Medical Center. Hopefully, this will encourage residents to seek local care.
A friend of mine's mother was in a car accident last week, and they took her to Anderson. And it was literally, the accident happened 10, 15 minutes away.
Ty Cobb's Chief Administrative Officer, Lauren Popka, says Ty Cobb wants to partner with a larger hospital and hopes to help them financially. However, the details are still being worked out. Residents in Franklin County are still optimistic about the partnership.
It's been very positive, and word travels fast in a small town, but people are excited about it. They think it's going to bring a lot of growth and good economics to the city.
You know, Shannon, the transaction is expected to take several months to be complete.
That's right, and Ty Cobb only opened 3 years ago, so it only opened in 2012. Athens Regional Medical Center is also breaking new ground, literally. Just this week, construction crews started building a helicopter landing pad to serve trauma patients in the area. The hospital had been using Bishop Park and the Athens Airport as landing zones for their helicopters. That will change now that the new helipad will be right in front of their emergency room doors.
Is literally 150 feet from the entrance to the ED.
The pad will be located on the corner of Prince Avenue and King Street, and fences and trees will be used to block street visibility for drivers. Refugee families in Colorado could be affected by the potential passing of the legalization of medical marijuana in Georgia. Find out how next.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
I wish I was in school.
today. Or a book report to give. I wish I was in school. I'll stay after class. I'll clean the chalkboard. I'll do extra homework. I'll skip recess. I wish I was in school. I wish I was in school. I really wish I was in school.
School ends, but free lunches for your kids don't have to. Find your local food bank at feedingamerica.org/summermeals for help. Together, we're feeding America.
Many families with children who suffer from seizure disorders are moving out of the state of Georgia to become refugees in other states where it is legal to use cannabis oil for medical purposes. The Hopkins family made the move to Colorado to treat their daughter, Michaela. Since she has begun using the cannabis oil, Michaela's condition has really improved.
She's never hugged us before. She started hugging us, and she would give us a kiss, and she would interact and be able to play with Marley Ann in ways that she'd never been able to do before. And so just cognitively and also as far as seizure control, it's really been a blessing to see the difference that it has made.
Kelly Hopkins is also relieved that her daughter no longer has to use the FDA-approved drugs, which could have many horrible side effects, including vision loss, sleeplessness, appetite change, or even death. A leading expert in neuroscience with the university says the bill that just passed through the House isn't going to help many families in Georgia. Savannah, explain.
Yeah, the bill isn't going to work for a simple reason. It only applies to those under the age of 18, and that leaves out a majority of those in desperate need.
This is what you usually associate with marijuana, but for families like the Hopkins, it comes in a form of life-saving oil.
It's going to be controversial, but just because politically the whole issue of medical marijuana is very controversial. So I think that was the main issue.
The bill currently in the Senate isn't as effective because of the restrictions it still includes.
The bill makes it legal to possess the cannabis oil that's high in cannabidiol, but as far as I know, it's still not possible to actually acquire it because there's no way to get the cannabis oil into Georgia.
The bill restricts its use to patients only 18 and younger, which leaves many cases left without help.
I don't see how such a restriction is useful because, as you're probably aware, most of the attention is focused on pediatric forms of epilepsy, but of course that's only one very small potential application for using medical marijuana.
The revised bill now limits the amount of the chemical that produces the high feeling but still effectively treats patients like Michaela.
And despite the controversy of the medical marijuana bill, it has passed through the House and is currently in the Senate Health and Human Service Committee. When the Hopkins family moved to Colorado, they signed a document saying that they would not transport the cannabis oil outside of the state limits. If this law was broken, they could be put in federal prison. Kelly Hopkins is hoping there will someday be a bill that would allow her family to move back home to Georgia and bring cannabis oil with them. The bill currently under consideration would not allow them to do this. Coming up, find out what happened when family and friends hosted an interactive concert at Tate Grand Hall.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
The Athens-based band Family and Friends was featured last night in an interactive music lecture. Reporter Chelsea Beinfor is here to tell us more.
Thanks, Richard. Last night was great. Family and Friends was the main attraction at the Storytellers concert that took place at Tate Grand Hall. Anytime this band is around, the audience is guaranteed a great show, but last night they got a little something extra.
Good people, good music. This is the mantra of the indie folk rock band Family and Friends that performed a free concert for UGA students last night at Tate Grand Hall. The event was planned by the University of Georgia Student Union, and it was more than just your average concert.
And I decided to do a lecture about music, and what would a lecture about music be without music?
Family and Friends was selected for this event because the University Union felt that their passion, high energy, and captivating stage presence was a perfect fit for their unique Storytellers music lecture.
I finally got my first chance to see them at AthFest, and that's one of the biggest events in Athens, especially featuring music and art, and they just absolutely had an amazing performance. They just captivated the crowd. The crowd was just blown away by their music.
It's hard to be in a band called Family and Friends and want to be anything other than that. I guess we strive every day to be the best people that we can, and hopefully our music is a reflection of that, I think.
During the Storytellers event, the band played songs, shared stories from their tour, and held a question and answer session with the audience.
I mean, I just enjoyed the energy that Family and Friends always brings to the stage. I saw them at their show at Georgia Theater back in January, and just the two drummers going at it is always really fun to see.
And just the way that they present themselves on stage is really similar to the way that they are in real life.
At the conclusion of the performance, the band signed autographs and took pictures with a long line of fans that not only experienced a great concert, but also walked away with new knowledge and new stories of one of Athens' most popular musical groups.
Family and Friends is planning to release their next EP this summer, and they're in the process of adding show dates to their tour.
Family and Friends aren't the only band daring to handle their own publicity. Many up-and-coming local bands have decided to take their own route, some of which has resulted in positive and negative impacts. Have opted for their different route in getting their name out, which can result in both positive and negative impacts. This afternoon, UGA's music business program and the Law School Sports Management Law Society hosted the 5th annual Protect Athens Music Conference at the 40 Watt. Music professionals, including former Flagpole music editor Michelle Davis, had publicly advised for new musicians. Thanks for watching this edition of Tele 540. Thanks for watching this edition of Tele 540. I'm Richard Benson.
And I'm Ellen Cohen. Thank you for watching.
College of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Georgia, which is solely responsible for its contents. Views expressed do not represent those of the administration nor the Board of Regents at the University System of Georgia.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in focus need you.
You guys going to my party on Friday?
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be crazy.
All right.
What's up, dude?
I'm loving your jacket. Don't be such a fag.
If you don't mean it, why say it? Words hurt. Think before you speak.
I come from a big family. I'm the oldest of 6. To me, being the first person to go to college, it's like setting a standard, you know? My little brother is 8 years old now. I challenge his curiosity. I challenge him to dream. I have to paint a picture for him that he can look up to and live up to and possibly be better than. My name is Jaquez, and I am your dividend.
Driving down Oconee Street in Athens, you might get a glimpse of this in your rear view mirror. This red building is famously known as the REM Steeple and sits right behind Nucci Space. It used to be a part of St. Mary's Episcopal Church, but in 1990 the church was torn down, leaving the steeple to stand alone.
My personal connection to it is that it's music related, and that's what I've chosen to do with my life.
Good evening, and welcome to Mark's Show 540, 60, 792, I don't know.
Oh my God.
That was an interesting show. Highlights were actually, the first block was great, actually. That really popped and went pretty well. And the last block was less great, shall we say. But I think there are some lessons, obviously, to be learned. We're going to talk about those. But as always, we will start with the director, Mr. Jacob Lieber of Milwaukee.
Wrong. Cleveland.
I know, same place.
Mentor, Ohio. Yeah, it's snowing. Actually,
it's got snow.
Let me
it's
show
up
you this
north.
real quick. Good job today, guys. I think that maybe I think Ann did an awesome job as the producer. I feel like you were really on your stuff, and you kind of understood what it was like to like take command, and you understood like I need to get this stuff done. Oh, this is missing. Yeah. I need to go solve problems. That's what you have to do as a producer. And I think you did a really good job. I just want to show you. This is my house back home right now. This is what I'm going back to for spring break, everyone. So be happy you don't live in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, it's great for making martinis, and that's about it.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Allison's notes because Allison is now our post-show director, but she was helping on the floor here tonight. This is an aesthetic thing. Look down between stories if you're an anchor. If you're on the camera and you have a reader and then you're done, look down for a second, flip your script, and then look back up. It looks a little more natural.
Yeah, and I see this every time. If you look down, you break eye contact, what the viewer thinks is, oh my God, he's thinking or she's thinking, and then you come up and you look much more natural. You go, but if you do one of those routines, it's like, oh crap. You know, there's a gun out there. Somebody's going to shoot my ass. You know?
When you guys are a news source, you're not going to have to mic up as fast. You're going to have probably a lot more time to mic up, but try to learn to like come down here and do it quickly because we need your help. It's with the constraints of how this is set up. We really do need your help with this as well.
But not only that, I would add the other one. It's your own protection. You know, I want to know that my mic is set, that I'm on. I came in and looked at some of the mics. I'm saying, here, I'm going to do the same thing. I want to know that I've got it set right. I've got it pointed. I know I've got my hair off it because I get that long hair. It gets in it all the time. I also want to know where my cameras are. I want to make sure the floor director and I are communicating. That's covering your own tail.
And then I think she says camera 2, talk through it, which means, okay, so the whole purpose of us taking that camera 2 shot is so that we can move the camera 1 shot. That's it. So we're only bringing up for a short amount of time, okay? So in the future, let's make this a rule, and I'll say this to the Thursday class as well. Your first line as a reporter, look at camera 2, and then your second line, you look at camera 3. All we need to do is we just need to move that over, and it's quick, and sometimes we're a little slow on it, but that's the point. It's a transition shot.
Yeah, and quite frankly, and I've said this before, you don't even need to look at camera 2.
Yeah,
because I'm
look at the
there,
anchor.
There's camera 2 right now, okay, and I'm sitting there going, so if I started on that camera, and I come across, and I say, so Jake, there's a big issue about exactly what's happening. It's a natural conversation. And he says, yes, casting error.
Of course, yeah, you're exactly right, and then I look at my camera.
Yeah. And it's just more natural. That's a third person. You're in a cocktail. You're in a table, and there's 3 people sitting at a table. That's the third person. You say, now what am I doing?
Now, sometimes we came out, and a lot of times we came out just to the 2 shot at the end with the anchors. That's just because your tags weren't very long.
Yeah.
That's just because they were real short, and there wouldn't be worth time doing that. And then the last major,
which means both. I'll echo that scripting and format. You guys still haven't got it down, and some of you I'm surprised about. You should know by now. Okay, remote. Package, remote, I want to say something as the thing, and then I'm talking as a single to a 2 shot. I need to know where it is.
one thing I would do before you change anything in your rundown, or like if you like decide, oh, this is a VO or oh, this is just a SOT, the first thing I would do is I would go into the rundown and change what that's called and change that so that when I do print it off, when I come in at 550, that's all correct. Because a couple times that I got confused because in the meeting we said, oh, this is a VOSOT now, and I didn't write it down because I was a little off directing today, I'll admit that. But so we didn't miss anything, but things were taken late because I realized, oh, this had a VOSOT, things like that. If you guys drop, you write on the naming stuff. You want to name it like the slug with like the letter, so like E1 and then like whatever it's called. If you drop it wrong, unless we can't figure out what it is, don't delete it, because when we put it in our playback machine, it we'll lose it. It's kind of like Shumway talks to you guys about, like always having your video, or it'll be like media offline. That's what happened to us today. So we lost, like Aaron, we lost like what, like 8 things. Yeah, we lost like 8 things all of a sudden because you guys were deleting it out of that, and that video was gone. And we were like, oh, what happened? It was just because you were renaming them. And then the last one is a VO you talk through, right? So if you see VO, the anchor that happened to, you talk through it, okay? That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Yep.
All right. Producer.
Okay, I agree. I liked the first block. I thought it went really well. I liked how we had 4 at the desk, and then we all just kind of did quick updates of stories.
And you actually did a pretty nice job of delivering on it. It was popped, and quite frankly, you know, you gave me about a 3 to 4 minute headline service, and that was good. And quite frankly, everybody delivered on it pretty well and seemed comfortable.
Shout out to the producers for stepping up, like thinking your producers and anchoring today.
Yeah.
And I did that on purpose, obviously, just because I like to screw with you all. But it was an issue of some of you had raised it, and it's legit. And I'll be honest with you now, I'm going to throw you a couple of curveballs, you know, during the rest of the semester. And the idea is thinking on your feet and reacting. The one lesson I think did come out of that is be prepared to dress for on air every time.
Okay, so I guess just an overall thing, packages, when we say we need them in, because that was stressful and that was added stress that didn't have to be there. So when it needs to be in by 6:50, have it in by 6:50. And my fault on the timing, just for anyone who's producing, remember that when you put in the package time, you count in the remotes. So the anchor, when she throws to the reporter, you have to count in that extra 10 seconds or whatever.
So the package is what you dropped, and then you say, okay, the remote is either another 10 seconds and the tag is another 10, so a minute 15 package then becomes a minute 35.
Right, because I was just calculating the 10 seconds in the lead for both, and that's obviously not right. And also another thing about packages, they should never be longer than a minute 30 or a minute 45. So if you get into the like 149, 150 range, like it's too much. And I know it's hard to pick stuff because if you think you have a really great quote, but you just like have to pick something. It can't get longer than that.
Anything over that, you go to the producer, and quite frankly, we're not going to let packages run that length, period.
Yeah.
And that includes front and back, remote and tag.
Yeah, and there were a couple packages that had a lot of nat sound, and that's great, but you have to remember to bring that down because you couldn't hear the reporter's voice track.
Yeah, we lost you completely.
Yeah, Chelsea, we couldn't hear yours. Yeah, and
but somebody was having a good time in the party. We figured that out.
Yeah, and also just watch like small things on your packages like focus and all that because a little bit was off.
Yeah, I mean, we had the one pair that, I'm sorry, I kept saying they must have been smoking marijuana because they were so soft focused. It was like, wow. The last time I had grass, I had that same feeling, man. It was like, what could I see?
You know about the band members, like the band members?
Yes.
Okay, the thing is, we shot this yesterday and it looks completely focused on the camera.
And then when you get it on the computer, it's out. Yeah, I just wanted to.
You're zooming in, tight focus, zoom back out.
I just wanted to mention it.
Take a look at whether you're running it SD, HD as well, because every once in a while somebody will flip. Check your settings on the camera, okay? And Shumway can show you that, but every once in a while somebody will take it and I'm going to switch it over to HD, and it was actually SD, or the reverse, and when I do it, it'll blur it out a bit too.
Yeah. Okay, and then in the D block, I can't exactly remember what it was, but I wrote down to look at the camera when you were switching. Whenever y'all were switching from anchor to reporter, it was Janae. You were like looking all over the place. And I don't know if that was, they were saying the floor director was doing something funky, so I'm not sure what happened, but it was just like, yeah, you were like,
I mean, the bottom line is, you got lost.
Yeah.
Do watch the smile too at that point. And it's natural, you get nervous, right? But all of a sudden you're smiling while somebody's dead, and it's a little uncomfortable.
And then, well, he was just saying in future reference. And then, I don't know, on your package.
Best part is she looked at my script, did I?
I'm not sure on the package, but the B-roll of you sitting at the computer, I think it was probably just meant to fill, but like it was a little long.
It was way long,
and it was also by the time you got to the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, and we're looking at it, and it was like it had no relation to anything, and so we're sort of sitting there, what the hell? I mean, it literally looked like, you know, for about.
Yeah.
But then after that,
it just it was a filler, and it didn't look right. Yeah. Okay. And then we had to cut D1, so good job picking up on that, and you know, starting where you needed to start, and then. I guess last block, so the F block, I'm not really sure what happened, where we got lost in there, but all I know is the voiceover the footage started to roll and you quit reading, so I don't know if that was a confusion. But whenever you looked down at your script, that was good because you were trying to cover up, but then you just kept looking at your script, and so it took you forever to figure out they were telling you to say goodnight. So just remember to like look back at whoever's directing.
By that time, you should have been able to hear me screaming.
No, I heard
Yeah, so.
Real quick, remember when someone else back here needs to talk, you need to grab my stick.
Oh, that's right, sorry, yeah.
Grab your stick.
Okay, just by
And did you have sexual consent? No.
Oh my God.
Just because I was down here, like standing beside you.
Okay.
I think. Were you initially reading off the prompter? Because I think you were trying to like read off your script, but remember you have the prompter that you can read off.
Are you talking about
even from like word number 1?
Oh yeah, no, like so I need to get glasses.
Okay, yeah, we need to do that ASAP.
Sorry. I need glasses.
I understand.
That's what
I
mean. You got lost in the voiceover, but like number 1, you got lost like when you like weren't even reading the prompter. So that's why that gets confusing when you're like trying to do it.
Yeah, you do want to take a double check. Take a look seriously at glasses or disposable contacts or something, because at that point you should be and you come off that only when you say, oh, guess what, the prompter's off somewhere, then I come back down. And at the point you go down, like she said, we lost total communication with you at that point, because it was like everybody's, the entire control room was dancing.
Right, and we were already heavy because of my fault.
And partially, well, not your fault, everybody's fault. Again, we didn't get good times, we didn't get good communication. That producer needs to know what the heck is going on every single time. And when we call the time and you say it's 1:15, it's 1:15 on tape. No, I need the remotes, I need the close. Okay, let's confirm back, okay?
Oh, I just had a little question regarding something earlier. If we ever do get lost, like what happened, would you just suggest we just pick a camera and focus on that and they'll find us? I'm just saying, like, if for whatever reason it's not written.
But you can still go down. His first thing is you're going to look down at the script, and I'm going to sit there and say, because the point Jake also made up there, if I go down and I'm looking, I can still look, and I know which camera is coming. And I sit there and say, there I am. Okay, there I am, there I am, there I am. I can do that, okay? And it's really pretty simple. For here, 9 times out of 10, A1, A2 is going to be on the middle camera. And if I'm A1 or sports, I'm on camera 3. And if I'm A2 or weather, I'm on camera 1. And so I pretty well know most times that's what I'm going to come into. And so yeah, if I get really, and I get totally lost and everybody else is, yeah, I'm going to come up on what I think is the right camera. And but that's part of the reason we have the monitors there.
And also, just a side note, when I guess production's telling you to say goodnight, like you don't say the whole spiel, right? It's just like goodnight.
Yeah,
it's
if we say goodnight,
as like quick as possible. You don't like try to say like mock show 5-7.
And that was another thing I was going to say is I don't know who it was. I know you did it, but there was one other anchor reporter like messed up in a sentence and then you repeated it. Don't backtrack. Just keep reading.
Keep on trucking.
Yeah, even if you mess up, because it's more noticeable, obviously, like when you reread it. But there was someone else who did it. I don't remember what the word was or anything like that, but I remember that. So just keep reading and keep going through, even if you mess up, because it's less obvious.
Can I go back to the F block for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think maybe what happened with Richard is the floor director said, don't read the anchor tag on F7, and Richard read it anyway. I mean, no, like you were confused. And so then the B-roll started rolling for the VO, and then he was completely lost.
And partially, and again, remember what I've said before, we all take blame for this. I mean, we didn't do quite as well, and each one of you take a piece of this, and I take a piece of it. And quite frankly, I'm the one that did that a little bit to you, because I knew we were way heavy. We had to come out of that sound bite, and we had to come out with a 2-shot, and it was the only way to pick up about 30 seconds to get even close to the right out time. I should have made that call and communicated it with the senior producer and the director earlier and been a lot clearer and more forceful.
Okay.
And the penny has dropped.
So when I was told not to read the tag, I was assuming that it was the thing that Chelsea wrote. I thought that the lead was different than the tag, so that's why I read it, because I thought it was a lead.
That's why I said I knew that we had added to the confusion.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Could I say a couple things? Or
Yeah, of course.
Any other comments? Go ahead.
I have one. This isn't like a big thing, but like talking about camera
Nothing about
2.
you's big.
Anyways, back to like when we were talking about camera 2, when I was the anchor here, I couldn't I see everything on the camera, like it was a little bit too far this way.
But again, that's why
on the I made it work. I looked it down at my script and up again, but just like a little thing, like maybe if we could center it
but that's why again the camera 2 is only a transition shot. That's the point Jake made.
Well, when
that's
you were
why
on
when
the
I'm,
2-shot with Savannah and I was reading.
Yeah, but even then, at that point, you shouldn't be reading.
Okay.
I pretty well know
okay.
what my script is,
Okay.
right? And that one really is where you guys got to internalize.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there, I've got 2 or 3 lines, and I'm gonna say, so Savannah, the real question is that neurologist, really uptight about this, or does he think it? I'm gonna just have a nice conversation. I'm not even gonna look at the prompter on there.
Okay.
Prompter on the camera 2 is always gonna be a challenge for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you want something?
Yeah, I got a couple things. First, to kind of reiterate what you said, know what you're reading before you read it, because sometimes you're gonna look up on the prompter and read something wrong, because that's what happened in the A block. And so she read, Lana read through what I was supposed to read, and we didn't end up getting the time where people could watch the game. That's rather important. The other thing.
Actually, I wasn't too worried about that at the time, but yeah, the number one thing is know it ahead of time. But yeah, I'd seen that, and I'm going, hell, everybody who cares knows it's at 9.
The other thing, coming into today, who knew how to find and put on titles onto their packages? Because I had to help a lot of people through that, and
Everyone should have known because we learned that in show.
Yeah, but they didn't, and I had to help multiple groups put titles and stuff on there, and on a wider note, you have to know how to do this stuff at this point in the semester. Not knowing isn't an excuse.
Yeah.
If you have questions about something, go on Shumway's page. He's literally got everything on there and how you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is your responsibility.
Just to reiterate what Jake was saying earlier, in case anyone didn't understand it, because that was my fault, was when people were dropping their stuff into Small Tree, you gotta name it the same slug as it is in here. Because if she's trying to drop it into the playback, she's not gonna know. She doesn't read your mind. So I saw that and I thought I could fix the problem, but by the time I started fixing it, it was unconnecting. So that was my fault that we lost them, but it was also y'all's fault that it wasn't named right.
It's got to be the communication.
And
this becomes the Bible for that half hour, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta have it the same.
And big thanks to Erin. She was thrown in a position she didn't know how to do, and she did a fantastic job with it.
That was cool.
Yeah, and about the slugs, I think we're still struggling exporting, which I mean, I know it's crazy, but we still are. So when you're exporting, you have to know that to click on how to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
So you just click on the little blue part.
Make notes.
And that's where you change, and that's where you make it the slug, is the little blue part that you click on.
Right.
Yeah, another thing, I know Richard, we had trouble with this. He exported just a clip of the actual whole FOSOT or whatever, and it only did a second or whatever. So we had to go back and find the media and everything, and it was 5 minutes to air, and so just make sure
and
you
the yogurt was hitting the fan.
Exactly.
I just want to say one thing. Okay, so I know we're still all nervous, in front of the camera and everything, and he's trying to
come in, Aaron. Get in the shot.
Okay, so I know we're all still nervous, and we're just getting used to being in front of the camera. And he says try to make it conversational, but act like you're talking to a real person and we're not on a kid's cartoon show, because you guys are it was really funny, some of the exchanges, and it's that's not natural or realistic at all, and tell me about that, and I don't know, it's just corny, so just a little more realistic. Yeah. A little less. Do less.
Just something really quick that just reminded me. If you have a package that rolls and you're in studio when it's introduced, if Kara's here's Sam with this, don't tag out in your package and then re-tag yourself when you are in here. You just let it finish and then you come back, and because that would happen somewhere, and then I had told Chelsea the wrong thing, so that's just a thing to know.
Yeah. I mean, you're SIGging out
No,
when
you
you're,
didn't do
and
that.
you
There
won't
was
SIG
another
out if you're on set. Now, if you're live, and we will do this probably when you come back, we'll put you in the newsroom. And at that point, when you're there, you'll say, live in the newsroom, I'm Michael Castigliero for Grady News Source, okay? And I will SIG out that remote, but not on the package when you track it.
What were you saying,
And,
Abby?
do you write tags for VOSOTs? You don't have to
Mandatory.
Tag out all those, and I know that some people didn't, but just remember that.
She has a mic. She has a
I have
mic on.
sports on. I can steal the
stick.
Thanks. And then also, sorry. Is it on now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
This one? Okay. Basically, just like make sure that you write tags for your VOSOTs. Again, what she said, like do not SIG out on packages at all unless until we go to live remotes. And then along with what she was saying with like being conversational, also when you're just staring at a camera, don't be like, hi, I am blah, blah, blah. Like just be yourself. Don't be nervous. I know it's going to come with time, but it does take away from the news when people are like not comfortable, I guess, on camera. So just work on that. I know just the best thing to do is read over your script beforehand, know what you're saying, all that kind of stuff. And then, let's see, you guys covered, I think, most of the rest of it. We're not supposed to end on SOTs and packages, correct?
If you're coming back to the reporter, you're fine.
Okay.
Depend on the sound,
So
but
that
you
was
play
fine.
off it, yeah. If I do it self-contained, no, I'm going to end. Whoops. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. Nobody wants Allie yelling at him. Yes. You're welcome. Yes, you will if it's self-contained SIG out. Others from you?
You guys covered the rest.
Okay. I will do one, and let me do you the berating, which is scripts must be approved by me. And because Sam's a big boy and I can pick on him, he came that close to having the whole thing killed. At a point that I come in and I say, guess what, I haven't approved that package, it's dead. It will not air. And that goes for me, that goes for News Source, that goes for most operations. We're killing it because I have no idea. Second thing is when I do go over the script, most of the time I'm going to do it and I'm going to talk you through it. I'm trying to avoid writing it. Too much, I've done a little bit too much of that, yeah. But I want you to do it, feed back to you, and then you do it so that you're the ones that are actually getting the knowledge of how to write it and write it in a conversational manner. So after I've done the review, rewrite it and bring it back to me, okay? Usually after about 2 or 3 times, I think we got 4 or 5 on a few folks today, but usually after 2 or 3, we're gonna be at least saying, okay, that's closer to where we're at, okay? And that's where we wanna go. I want you all to post your packages to the website. A lot of the people, you got some good people in there and you got some good packages. And the nice thing is the neurologist, trying to be nice to sit there and say to them, by the way, you know, thank you very much, send them an email. I appreciate you talking to me. If you're interested, you can see the package, you know, that we ran on our website, you know, grady.uga570. Trust me, a lot of them, even if they don't have an ego, they do have an ego, and everybody sort of likes to see it and say, oh, that's cool, you know, and it makes sense, and it reaffirms what you're doing as reporters, okay? You know, you all heard me yelling about some of the university officials. Well, the flip side of that is I try to affirm to people that, hey, if you were involved and you did something, that's cool. Don't SIG out, we talked about. Commercial length, we changed the commercial length. Yes. That is something we would hardly ever, ever, ever do in the real life. The only reason I agreed this night is I did something different, and I did a 6-block newscast, and as you heard Jake say about 27 times, gee, an F block. Gee, I've never seen an F block. Gee, an F block. Yes, Jake, there was an F block. Package times we talked about, dropping packages we talked about. The last one is spelling the names.
Oh,
we misspelled Michaela. We misspelled
That's how it's spelled.
A-H-A.
Yeah, I looked it up.
There was no E in it?
No. I looked it up.
Okay, then I'm wrong.
I
Scarborough.
Yes, I checked that because I originally spelled it like the way you were thinking, and then she told me to check it, and I did it.
Good.
And surprise,
Then
that
I'm
was how
wrong.
it was
Great.
spelled.
Terrific, good for you. Then that's an attaboy instead. And Scarborough, I think we did it B-R-O-U-G-H, which I think it's B-O-R. Watch that because that is an issue of. B-R-O-U-G-H. Yeah, it is B-R. There's no B. Never mind. No. I mean, that's if as long as you guys have checked it, my apologies. That's great. I'm glad to hear it. That's terrific. And then the only other one is just on the general, most of the time I'm going to lead the block with a package, not with a reader. Don't do background things. On a couple of these segments, we're sitting there saying, okay, we have to tell you what happened in the history before we get to the point of today's story. No. You know, we're talking about new and immediate. You know, the Franklin County in debt, you know, we had a reader leading the block. I'd never lead a block with a reader. The Hopkins family affected, same thing. It was a VOSOT that told me all the background about it and then came forward. Don't do that.
And yeah, and for that one, the Franklin County one, that was simply to try to get 4 angles in that block, which I understand we could have put it at the end and it would have been better served, but just to.
That's fine. And then the last thing is the whole exercise again. You've got a whole, 2 weeks now to work on this stuff. You got a week off in which I hope you'll all practice moderation. Yeah. But do think of the stories, and you came in with some multiples, but that's the whole point of what I'm trying to do. Again, what you do up with this thing is critical, and how you think it out. And so in that so-called real world, I'm going to sit there and be able to come in and say, I can give you, and we've done this, I've shown you, I can give you 8 angles on any story at any time. And that's what you want to be able to do, because then I can make it, and that's part of the reason the exercise is so that way you'll be able to produce more. And that's it for me.
I just
Anything
have one more
last?
thing. Me too. I was going to say that overall, the communication leading up to it was really helpful compared to last week. I think the GroupMe was helpful, but just make sure you're checking the GroupMe and replying, because like I had to ask a couple times, and that's fine. I don't mind asking, but like, if you know, tell me. And if you know what you have, tell me. And you know, if you're the more we know when we get in there at 2 o'clock, the much better that this can go. So just check the GroupMe, stay up to date, like just communicate. It's not hard.
And the senior producer, you'll send a note out recapitulating this, because I want both classes, because we get different things and what we do in the other classes. And grades, and last week, grades, I need grades, recommendations, okay?
One more thing, on one of the VOs, there was like full sound and
You started talking on it.
Just make sure that like there's not that like incredible sound on the VO, because
it was outside.
Yeah, it just was like accidental.
He turned it down, but just.
But just be sure that you check that.
It was Connors.
But pretty decent all in all. Take a look at that. We will drop them. We will start posting all these newscasts to the website so you can see it. I upload it to YouTube, and then I do the connection so you, your family and friends can see it. But more critically, you look at it and you see, you know, nothing better than watching it yourself and saying, oh, okay, that sucked, you know, or that was good.
As far as putting packages on the web, will we have the chance to tweak them, perhaps, before?
Tweak them a little bit, yeah.
I mean, like add a lower third if I ran out of time to do that?
Yeah,
Cool.
you clean them up a little bit, yeah, absolutely. You know, again, because you will be doing online and on air. We did a little bit of this. When you come back, actually, it's a good reminder because I had her doing it. When you come back, you will be expected to be posting to the web during the day as well, okay? So that's going to be constant, because you guys are going to be delivering both, on air and online, pretty consistently from now on.
And for the web, just make sure you have a picture or something, like, because she had to ask a couple times, so just for future reference, so you know. Pictures are needed.
We'll have the package.
Too. Yeah, you can screenshot stuff, but you just have to have it.
Cool. All right. Enjoy. Have a good week off.
Go Dogs. Beat the Wildcats.